we'll just get this rolling. So I've gotten Andrew familiar with your music. And I guess we could just start with like, when did you start playing music? What got you interested in it?
Well, do you want the long answer or the short answer?
Oh, long is fine. This is an hour-long podcast.
Okay. All right. So you know Colby Hawkins and all those cats. So back when I was like, I don't know, probably like 16, I was in high school. Me and my buddy had this little pipe dream that we were gonna start like an indie band, right? But neither of us knew how to play instruments, so we both asked for instruments for Christmas, right? So he got like a shitty first act guitar, and I got like some Dean starter kit thing, right? Totally failed, didn't work at all. Never. So fast forward a couple years, start meeting a couple people, and they're like, "Hey, we need a bass player," and they're hanging out at my house. And like, "We see you have a bass. Do you play?" And I'm like, "Not really." And they're like, "It'll work. It'll be fine. Whatever." So I get with Randy Knapp, Craig Newberger, this dude CJ Young, and Dom Rosati, of all people. And
Frank. Yeah, he goes by Frank now. I know him.
Yeah, I've known him for a long time. So anyway, we all get to jamming. It's crap. It fucking goes to shit. So whatever. Again, some time passes. I go bandless for a while. Then all of a sudden, me and Colby get to meet. So no, while we were in that band, we were called the Autumn Vale, and we played Charm City Skate Park. And Colby was there, saw us, and after the set was over, he came up and took Randy's guitar and started jamming. And I was like, dude, this guy is like really fucking good at guitar. Like, what the hell is this? So whatever, we exchanged information. We kept in touch. Anyway. So that band breaks apart. Sorry, my baby. So anyway, that band breaks up. I go bandless for a little while. He makes a status. I'm starting a band. Like, what's up, guys? And I'm like, hey, let me get bass, because by this time, I'm now able to hold my own. I can play bass. I'm like, yo, let me come play bass with you, bro. And so whatever, we start Nakota. It was called something else at the time. So we did that, developed into a pretty decent prog band, and then did that for years. And then Colby got a good job offer, ended up moving to New York, and we were like, okay. And I got tired of like holding bands together and stuff like that. I was like, it's kind of a pain in the ass. It's like having like 4 or 5 girlfriends. I gotta like care what they all think, and I gotta worry about your schedules and stuff. Like, I wasn't about it. So I just started making beats and stuff in my free time and whatever, and just as a hobby, just because I was just like, I can't keep a band together. I want to stay musical though. Just making beats, whatever. And then there was like this boom of like weird trap, like this aggressive trap, and I was like, dude. And I heard like a couple really shitty artists at first, and I was like, dude, there's gotta be somebody that's good at this shit. So I like just started digging. I find a shitload of dope ass artists that I ended up just loving. Like, I got really into XXXTentacion. I got really into Denzel Curry. Ended up getting into Ghost Main. I ended up getting into finding Puya, Shakewell, fucking all these just sick ass artists. I'm like, dude, where was I? Like, when did this happen? Like, cause I'm like still getting off of like bands like Chan and fucking Animals as Leaders and stuff like that. And I find this like aggressive rap with this, like, cause growing up, I always, white kid, like I was listening to Eminem and shit like that. I was like, but I could never. So it would cross my mind. I'm like, couldn't do that. So then I start hearing like all these like shit artists blow up, and like their lyrics are like fun, but there's something to them, but they're not like super, super poetic. And I'm like, I can do that. Like, I can fucking do that. And I guess the rest is history. I don't know.
Hell yeah, man. So you started on bass then?
Yeah, I started as a bass player, started jamming with, really started learning with Dom. Me and him were playing with a kid in the neighborhood. We were covering, what the fuck is that band called? Oh man. They have that song 94 Hours. What is that band? As Lay Dying. We were covering.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
And so whatever. Yeah, we started jamming, and then I joined that band with him. Then I moved on to the band with Colby. Well, there was some other stuff in between, but yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say for the people who don't know him, Dom, Frank, whatever he goes by, um, he's a fucking sick drummer. Like he's really, really good.
Yeah, he's coming to his own. So at the time, he was playing guitar,
Oh, no shit.
and he had like this BC Rich, and I don't remember what amp distortion was turned all the way up.
Does
Was
he
it one
play
of
in
those
any
little
bands?
spider amps?
I think it was. Might have been like a spider amp or something like that. I know there was like one of those corny crate amps that were like famous for catching on fire. Yeah, it was.
Oh boy.
Sheesh.
I
So,
notice a lot of people coming from metal into that kind of rap scene too. When I get to meet those kinds of artists, they come from a lot of metal bands. They'll always say they grew up in like a scene community or like just a metal crowd. They're like, man, I found this music and it's super cool, super hard. And it's just like a whole other realm for them that's seemingly a little more easily accessible, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a lot easier because I don't have to, like I said, I don't have to worry about anybody else's schedule. I can do it all myself. I got like a nice studio. I can do it whenever the fuck I want. I mean, I didn't start with the studio, but you get what I'm saying.
Totally. That's great, man. Feels good to have that kind of creative space to let yourself kind of just go wild, be free with it. You don't have to worry about egos or anything like that. You can really do what you want to do.
Exactly. Absolutely.
yeah, and I think the aggressive nature of this kind of trap music really lends itself to, former hardcore kids or metal kids. Cause like you listen to a lot of like the syncopation with the kicks or like the 808 patterns and you're like, it sounds like a breakdown.
Oh,
It
Very,
does.
very similar.
all the time when I'm making my kick patterns, I'm just like breakdown. Like if I was to write a breakdown to this melody, and that's how I do it a lot of the time.
Man, that's smart. I think the same thing, man. When I first heard that, I was listening to Suicide Boys, and I thought, man, if someone were to cover this on like an 8-string, that would slap. Some of those grooves are so good, man.
Yeah.
So, so you liked Eminem when you were growing up. I guess you already kind of touched on when you were noticing that rap might be something that you could get into, but like, how long did it take you from when you started to rap until you actually thought, okay, this is something I can do?
Oh, dude, I was like so full of myself. Like I said, there were artists like fucking Lil Pump getting big at the time, and I'm like, I'm better than that guy. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, I don't know if you were paying attention at all, but I did drop an album. Looking back on it is horrible, but it didn't take long for me to get to that point. You know what I mean? And I know, Paul, the Holy Squid, having him behind me, he's a crazy rapper. So where my rapping's short, he kind of filled in that gap. So it wasn't long, man. Honestly, it kind of was just like boom, 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 boom.
And it should be noted that Paul is also a hardcore kid.
Yeah.
He also rap. I mean, he's super talented. He's a really, really good drummer, but I just thought it would be fun to throw that detail in there as well. Yeah, you've improved just a ton in a short period of time, which is how I know that you're actually putting in effort, because there's so many people who pop up and they say they're going to be musicians. And I know of one guy in particular, his stuff has sounded the same for about 6 years. There's been no improvement on that front. So that's how you know that you're the real deal and you're in this for the right reasons.
For sure.
I know a lot of like independent rappers, or a majority of them that I know of, maybe then a few obviously, are pretty independent with like the writing and production and mixing. But who are some that maybe are or maybe are not? Whose engineer is one of your inspirations for your mixes? Someone that you like look up to and might use as a reference to get the sound that you get?
Honestly, I don't even really follow too many specific producers. Honestly, I try not to get wrapped up in like who's, you know what I mean? Like I find beats, like I'll find a beat that I like, and I'm like, I really like how that kick rings through and the bass is still there, but it's not much. Or like, I don't know. I don't really follow a whole lot of producers. Obviously, like, producers like Murder Beats, DJ Scheme, Kenny Beats. There's people that I've noticed. Like I said, like I look for beats, but there's a couple people that I've noticed will like keep turning up and stuff like that. I've got homies that produce that are really good. I got this dude from Russia that I've been working with a lot lately, actually. He goes by Roma Johnson. If you noticed any of that like weird little 3D art that I have for some of my tracks, he does that too.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Nice multitasking.
Yeah, and same came from like the metal scene and stuff like that. He'll put out a rap and there'll like some hardcore screaming in it and stuff like that. And he's always
That's cool.
Well, Russians have a lot of cool like kind of trap inspired music. Like I don't know if you guys remember like Witch House as a genre, which is just like it's like Crystal Castles but with like trap beats. It's just really fucked up
yeah,
and kind of chaotic.
Interesting. You'll have to like fill me in on that. I've never heard anything like that before.
that's what
I know like drill, but that's the only thing like Russian, I guess rap trap related that I'm familiar with.
Ellie really likes a lot of Witch House music. She's kind of turned me on to that. That's my wife, by the way, if you don't know. But
Very nice. Very nice.
What are your goals for this project? Where do you want this to go? How far do you want this to go? I guess is what I'm wondering.
I'm not really sure. The goal is to just have fun, honestly. Like, yeah, just like making music. It's fun. I like I like collaborating with people. I like making beats. It's just fun for me. You know what I mean? There obviously is always the dream of like, going on tour and making a bunch of money. But to me, it's like, it's just a passion. It just makes me feel good to do,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a huge outlet.
Yeah, agreed. And then, on the low key, me and Colby and them have all been jamming again. So there might be an Dakota revival happening. I don't know if you paid attention to that band at all.
That's sick. I mean, I know Alex Roberts used to be in that band, right?
Yeah, he did.
Is he playing with you guys again, or how's that working?
I don't think so. We might be doing a slight member change up. We're still working out the details.
Yeah.
I think Alex is in Nemesis.
Yeah, I know they've been and that is one of the bands that I produce, but they've been a little shaky in terms of like how much time everybody can commit. So I think he might be looking for something else.
Yeah, and that's the thing with being an adult, and a musician. Like you're saying, what's the dream? Where do you want to go with this? And I'm like, obviously I wanted to go as far as it can go, but at the same time, like I got a kid and a job, and you know what I mean? Like, so, I like to keep it nice and realistic. I mean, hopefully I can bring more clients in the studio. I want to start hosting shows here. And, I don't know if you've ever been here, but my backyard is fucking immense.
Oh, amazing.
And I've been picking up all kinds of PA equipment, and I've got like a full band set up in my, in that other room over there. So that is something I want to do. And if you're familiar with like Audio Tree or Tiny Desk, like those type situations, I want to start.
Love them.
I want to start pulling off stuff like that here. Like I got this
Cool.
really obnoxious teal couch behind me that I want to have like. I want rappers to like sit at that couch and film a performance there. Then like it'll be like I want to do a thing where we'll like film a performance there, one song, and then there'll be a break, like some bullshit. Then film a performance in that room over there, and then have a third party interview them. You know what I mean? Because not everybody's interested in like an interview. You know what I mean? Everybody's interested in the performance, though. You know what I mean? So if they watch performance, see a little, who the person is, like put a humanize them, you know what I mean? Make it more tangible, and then another song, and then like an interview, you know what I mean? I think it'd be really cool outlet for, people. I mean, it's similar to what you guys are trying to do, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I can tell you just based on the response we've gotten, like there's definitely people are interested in that because nobody ever asks musicians what they think about their music around here.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame. Same, especially with like producers, like nobody. We're just so like back of house. Like nobody ever thinks to ask us like, hey, why do you do what you do? It's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Starting
fun,
between.
Yeah. Because it sounds sick.
Yeah. It's a generally good time.
I like kicking my own ass over really dumb decision-making processes that happen during mixing. I don't know. Like, I like driving myself crazy.
I like feeling like I'm going to puke and that I've picked the wrong career field when I can't get a snare to sit just right and it's been 2 days straight.
I'm a huge fan.
Always.
I'm a huge fan of thinking that it sounds fucking perfect, going outside, listening to my car and questioning every decision I've ever made leading up to this point. Big fan of that
This isn't for me. Oh, that's my favorite. Shut the computer off, man. I'm done for the day. I'm getting food and taking a nap.
Yeah, that's how it is
every time. I just got like Sonar Works, and I thought they would reduce the amount of referencing I have to do in the car.
Oh,
And on
dog.
this current mix, I'm now on day 6. Like of mixing this. I took a break, thankfully, but like no, maybe it's because it's pop and like I don't do a lot of that. I do a lot of like metal generally, but like
Right.
fuck, man, this mix is kicking my ass.
So did you get the ones with the fucking mics that you
Yeah. You just you got this guy and you just point it around. It's fucking crazy. It's so high tech. Like you're walking around your room as it's making noise and it's like tracking where you are.
That's incredible.
It's good. It definitely makes these monitors easier to listen to because I know you also have HS8s. They're fucking harsh. They are very, very harsh monitors.
Are they?
Yeah.
Just super high endy. So I guess it's good for my ear fatigue, but like I'm still trying to figure out whether or not it's actually gonna help me with my overall mixing.
Right.
I'll give it another month or 2. Who knows?
Yeah. You did throw up that treatment pretty recently too, so that's kind of adding to a new environment as well.
The room's changed a lot. So, but
hopefully it'll be for the
speaking
best.
But speaking of the engineering side of things, what do you do to try to improve? Like, what's your process?
I don't know. So, what do you mean? Can you maybe rephrase that question? You say, "What's my process, and what do I do to improve?"
I guess we'll take it a step back and we'll ask another question that probably leads into that. Like, first, like, what do you think your strengths are as a producer?
Ideas. Like I always just come up with real quick ideas. Like I'll have like, especially with beat making, like I'll be like boom, 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 and then like I'll get a decent like I'll have like a pretty good like build up into the beat drop into the the verse section, and it'll most of the time it'll just come to me, and I'll be like, okay, I need to go record this right now, and then I'll just do it, and then so I always have an idea, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
for me,
very
the
cool.
creative part of it is the easiest part as well. Everything else is kind of like pulling teeth after.
Yeah.
Like mixing is fun for like the first 3 hours, and then after that, you're just like, oh fuck, dude.
Yeah.
How much longer is this gonna take?
Once your ears start compensating and shit like that, it becomes a job.
Well,
That
always take breaks. Always. I take like 15, 30-minute breaks every like hour and a half or so, just because like you lose that perspective and then you end up cranking up like a ton of high end and you come back the next day and you're like, this is too bright. This is way too bright.
Every time.
I have a song sitting on Spotify right now that when I put it out, I thought it sounded fucking awesome. And it's like the brightest, most obnoxious. It's so hard to listen to. Like when I put it out, I was like, dude, this is a really cool song. And it's kind of out of my lane. Like I like it. Now every time I hear it on Spotify, I'm like, fuck.
Man.
Well, I think if you're not listening back to your previous work and thinking like, God, I sucked, like, then you're probably not learning, right?
Yes.
Sure.
It's that true perspective.
For sure.
I was listening to a interview with Joey Sturgis on, I think it was the URM podcast, and he was the first engineer I've ever heard put it in the way that I think of it. He was just like saying things like, well, when you're producing, you're kind of in this state of like everything sucks, and like you have to be there because you got to be like, this sucks. Now, what do I do to fix it? But then he's like, but you know that you're doing it well if people are coming up to you and they're like, dude, I love this record, it sounds great, and you're going like, yeah, but the kick is pillowy and the snare sounds like shit and the guitar. But it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, you know that you're doing good if people are paying you or if people are complimenting you, even if you feel like your shit sucks.
That is a solid sign. I feel like regardless, the imposter syndrome probably is pretty concrete in most musicians. It's hard to work into a point where, I mean, I feel like maybe most of us won't be at a point where we're going like, oh my God, I'm like actually really good at what I'm doing. That just feels so like wrong to even pretend to say. But you get those signs. And I feel like every one of us has definitely a weakness. I don't know, in a way. I mean, I feel like there's those struggles as like a mixing engineer or a songwriter. Like mine's in songwriting. I would rather be the mixing and mastering engineer, but there's always something in writing that feels, like you said, pulling teeth.
So that's crazy because that's like the opposite to what Maddie and I said. Where it's like, also, I don't know if I'm supposed to call you Maddie or just Matt. Like, I'm just calling you what it is on your Facebook name.
Yeah, I mean, it's person to person. Like some people call me Matt, some people call me Maddie. Some people even have started calling me by my artist name, and that's crazy to me. I'm like, oh shit,
that's what's up.
That's really cool.
Shit, man.
Yeah,
that's also another good sign that you're doing something right.
Yeah, right. So like you were saying, you get those signs. Like every once in a while, I'll send like a little concept to one of my friends, and they'll just be like, "Dude, what the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, really?" Like,
Do you kind of
was
going
thinking,
with the? Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say I was kind of like feeling down because of this current mix I'm working on, which is like pretty much done, and I have it sounding good now. But for like the first 4 or 5 days, I was like, "Fuck, am I even going the right direction with this?" And then I got a call from a college buddy who was like, "Yo, I heard that mix you did for Nemesis. That shit was fat." I'm like, I haven't talked to him in like 6 years. He just wanted to reach out to me to say that. Like, okay,
right,
I think I'm
right.
doing it.
That's really cool. Those words feel really good.
Yeah. So let's talk about workflow. How long does it usually take you from having an idea to having a somewhat, like, let's not say mixed, but like a produced song in front of you?
So I do this thing. I do this thing where I get that initial idea and then I just sit on it, and it just sits. Like, dude, if you had a peek into my Dropbox, man, it's like so much shit, and I'm just like, yeah, it's like one verse and half a hook, and then every once in a while I'll just go flicking through and be like, dude, that was pretty good. Like, I should really finish that. And then, like you said, that then comes the teeth pulling part where I'm just like hyper focused on what am I going to say, how I'm going to say it, and da 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 da, all that stuff. So I don't know. The other day I cut a song in a day. Like, I made the whole beat and fucking did all the vocals, did all the mixing and mastering in one straight fucking session. And I was like, wow, like really surprised with myself. But typically, dude, it takes me a long time to actually finish a song, just because I get bored. And I move on.
Yeah. That happens to me a lot. Like I kind of feel like, and this isn't always the case, but I feel like if I don't get the idea out in one sitting, at least in terms of writing, then it'll kind of just stay half finished forever because I'll just be somewhere else. And like, it does seem like the best ideas kind of just pour out of you in like an hour and then they're done.
When the feeling is fresh.
Yeah.
You're all jacked up, very excited about what is happening, and constantly trucking forward too. I love those ones where I could get like a song written, mixed, and mastered in a day. Those are usually the best pieces of material for sure.
Yeah.
You can't even mix and master something in the same day. You guys are fucking crazy.
Dog, even sometimes, dude, and that uncertainty, that fucking like lack of confidence in your own mix that comes with that shit sometimes, dude. Like, you can ask Toby, man. Like, I send him stuff to master, and I'm like, listen to it versus mine, and then I won't even use his masters. Like, I'll pay him to do them and then not use them, just because I wanted to hear what he would have done.
Totally get that kind of contrast.
Yeah, that's super, super useful. And in fact, I've always heard, if you get your master back from your mastering engineer and it sounds like almost exactly the same, then that means you did a good job. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Means there wasn't much to fix.
That's cool.
Well, when you look at those top mixers, like, mastering is truly just like making things a little louder. Like, I feel like mastering for a lot of more amateur people tends to be like, all this crazy shit, but really, like, that should all be baked into your mix. Like, you should have like a lot of bus processing going on, or like all the colors should be somewhere in the mix. Like with this current master I just did, I think I took it too far. The one I just did before we sat down, because honestly, like, I've been listening to just the mix with the limiter on in the car. I'm like, okay, this is like done. Like, and now I ended up putting like tape and Soothe too. I'm like,
yeah,
did I fuck it up? I feel like I fucked it up.
Soothe 2 is the shit. Is the shit.
Fucking magic, man.
I hear so much about it. I gotta get that.
Oh, you have to. It's wonderful. I use it on like every vocal now. It just adds that sheen. Guitars, I feel like I use it on almost every guitar track I have, and then just a tiny bit on the master.
And what does it do exactly?
It's just a dynamic resonance suppressor. So it's got like unlimited bands, and whenever something just like spikes a little bit and hits past that threshold, it'll just take like a narrow band and kind of notch it out. But it does it in a really musical way, which is
interesting.
Amazing.
You can like adjust how like sharp the fucking peaks are too. Like, you can make it wide or you can make it real sharp so it hits those exacts. And dude, it's the shit. It's the shit, honestly.
It's worth the money.
I gotta pull the trigger. Totally.
It's always expensive. Like, I've only ever seen it go on sale for like $30 off. Like, it's just worth it. You don't
It's like
you won't find another tool that does what that does as well as it does.
No way. No way. What would you say is the difference between that? I don't want to get too far off topic, but that and like a dynamic EQ, what difference is that? Like, I guess I'm not.
Imagine a million bands of dynamic EQ that trigger exactly at the frequency that you need them at the exact time that you need
So
them.
it's like unlimited, essentially.
It just saves you from having to do a shitload of work.
That's cool. That's
I'm sure you could get a similar result if you had like 30 dynamic EQ bands, but like,
who's going to want to do that? Fuck all that. Yeah.
I mean, you can save like, if you're sampling, it can save you. If a sample has like everything you want, but it's just like crispy in a way that you really don't like it can bring that shit back. I'm sure Maddie has something to say about that as well. Like, I guess let's just talk about that. What's your thoughts on sampling, and do you sample often, or do you try to, perform your own instruments, or how does that work for you?
I do both, man.
Yeah,
I do both. Whatever. Sometimes like I do try to steer away from sampling, but like I'm not too proud that when I hear something that I want to sample or hear something, because I have a Splice membership. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? What the fuck is easier than being like, hey, I need a church bell, bling, bling, bling. That one,
awesome.
Boom, done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Splice is incredible.
I use it for fucking ambience and fucking, random textures and shit. Like, it's the shit. But I do, I like I said, I come from metal, so I do play instruments. I have a song sitting that is literally just drums and my bass guitar and me rapping. So like, I try to keep it diverse. I only got this little fucking guy,
Oh, very nice.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all I need. I'm not very good at piano, so I got to do the bass notes behind it. You know what I mean? Like, do them one at a time.
Absolutely.
Totally.
But hey, speaking of, I guess just since we saw your MIDI controller, we're going to just keep going off topic. It doesn't fucking matter. What are your favorite synthesizers? Like, what do you tend to reach for when you need like a lead or something like that?
I've always been a fan of Massive. I like Serum. I like really simple one. I think it's called Expand. I'm about to just like open up my shit right now, and it's going to tell me.
That's the Pro Tools stock synth, right?
Expand?
Yeah, I believe it is. Just XPAND.
Yeah. I didn't know it was a stock synth from that. It's just that like I've been getting a lot more into like the video gamey sounds with my beats and stuff. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So I just heard some sample somewhere and was like, where the fuck did you get that sound? And they were like, Expand, dude. So I bought it because I run FL, so I didn't you know what I mean? But yeah, like Expand. I like Pigments is pretty dope.
I fucking love Pigments. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
never heard of that before.
Dope. I also heard about that from a producer that I follow, which kind of goes against what I said earlier, but I do follow this producer called Matthias Tyner. He's like this child who makes like just like the most ridiculous heavy beats and shit like that, and he's been kind of branching out a little bit. But I found out about Pigments because of him.
That's tight.
Yeah, those are pretty much my go-tos. I fucked around and bought this thing called Track God.
Oh, dude, Track God's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Ingvar, but he showed me that. He works at Manta Ray or whatever it's called now.
Oh yeah, I know Manta Ray.
Yeah, Track God is what's up.
My buddy Omar was signed to them. What was their band called? Their band was called Lovey. I don't know, but
what exactly is Track God?
Track God is like, it's just a VST. It's like similar to Contact. But they had these like super douchey fucking ads all over the place that made it really hard to take seriously. But I saw them enough times that I was like, fuck it, like typed it into YouTube, watched a couple people use it, and I was like, that's actually fucking awesome. Like, I'm gonna get it.
Huh? Yeah. Does it come with like instruments within it?
I'm sorry?
Or does it have instruments in it already too? Or is it, can you like drag and drop other ones in?
I think you have to use their banks. Like, you have to buy their banks. I haven't really fucked with it too much. I just used, they had like a sale. They were like about to go on to the next step or whatever, release a whole different set of banks. So all their previous banks were on sale, and I just grabbed them all at once. Other than
That's
using
cool.
those, and it's got this like really cool knob, and it says plucker, and you can turn anything into any sound into a pluck sound. And I use a lot of pluck sounds, and I'm like, yo, that's the perfect thing for me. Like you can it. You got to check that out too. We should just start a group chat where I can just tell you about the things that I use and why you should check them out. Like, dog, I just realized that I have a fucking halo over my head, bro.
Oh my god!
I thought that was intentional.
Nah, I put it on like a long time ago. I haven't used this app in a while. I just looked at myself and was like, bro,
what's going on here?
Well, I think I mean, shit, for consistency, I think you got to keep it on there.
That's fine by me. It is what it is at this point, I feel.
All right, man. So we're gonna keep this rolling. What's some of your favorite material of yours that let's stick to like releases that you've already had. Which songs do you think you fucking nailed?
Oh, that's fucking rude because I don't like any of that. I was about to be like, yo, some of those songs, some of those shits that I sent you, bro, some of that shit's fucking heat, bro. But no, I think me and Paul did a really good job on Chokeslam. It's fucking 1 minute long, but everybody I've showed that song to is like, yo, that shit's crazy. I'm like, yeah. I like Hollow a lot just because it was like my first break into like really trying to like scream as less than an ad lib. You know what I mean? Like putting the screams as the forefront. That was my first step in. That was my first step into that, and now it's like kind of become part of my sound. And you know what I mean? Like now you should expect to hear that in damn near every one of my songs. So like that, I like Omnislash. Because I really like the feature on that. That was a rapper that I followed for a long time and managed to get a feature from him. Super stoked on that. Got another one coming out with him shortly. His name is Moxus. But I was a big fan of my fucking verse on that when I wrote it, and I still know it by heart because it was crazy. I'm like literally looking at my releases because I don't even know what the fuck I got out. I like that Slick With It one. That's the one I said I mixed way too fucking bright, but I really liked it because it was the first time of me just stepping out of my lane. Honestly, bro, I was like shitting on myself. I was like, I don't like any of these songs, but really, Swerve and Mental are the only two ones, my like two latest singles that I wasn't totally thrilled with. Other than that, like,
I think they're good. I think they sound good. I like your two latest singles.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I'm glad you guys fuck with them. You know what I mean? Like I just know what I'm sitting on in comparison. I think that's why I don't like them. I'm like, man, I really should have put out something to grab more attention, but I'm like trying to like build up slowly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, I
really a good.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're cool. I was gonna say, I really like that song, Doubt. That was like my second song after I went through that rebrand, and that's really cool for me because that was like my first step into like trying to kind of sing a little bit and actually talking about something. Because I don't know if you listened to my first album, but it was literally me just talking shit like the whole time. So like that was my first song where I was like talking about like emotions a little bit, and Paul was on it. Toby produced it. Toby did the singing hook on it. So that was a really fun one for me. But enough about that.
Oh, I should say Toby's going to be on here, I think 21st or something or whatever that is. So we got him maybe the 30th. I don't know. One of those. He says he's got to get his Starlink internet shit figured out, but he's hoping to have it done by then because he's a country boy now.
Yeah, his new spot is crazy looking. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, it looks really, really cool. Yeah, I'm hoping he and I could just hang at some point because he's always just been like a name that like I heard a million times. Like my friends knew him, but I never met him at all.
Oh, dog, he was carrying like when we were young, he was like carrying the fucking scene on his back, man. Like
I know.
He was like the only place that we could get recordings that we could afford that were like top quality. You know what I mean? He used to run a studio out of his parents' house, and it was the sickest fucking studios that we've ever been in at the time.
Yeah.
And he just produced, not produced, but he recorded everybody, and it was just the spot to be. And plus, he was in Within Wolves at the time, and Within Wolves was fucking sick.
Yeah, no, he's super, super talented. Because I remember I was friends with the guys in Bella Versa, and they went to this one dude, and they were telling me, you know, back then in 2010 or whatever, 2009, they were telling me like there were studios you could go to, but like they all sounded like shit. Like I listen to those recordings. They're like, it's always like some 50-year-old who doesn't know how to work on like metalcore or post-hardcore.
So
yeah, Toby was the first one in the area to be like, hey, I listen to this stuff. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, dude. I recently took a trip down memory lane and started listening to all these bands again that like, you know, the ones that I can find their material. But like Call Me a Dreamer, fucking I even bumped some In Dying Arms.
Call Me a Dreamer.
Like, yeah, they were a fucking sick band. They played with us one of the last shows that Nakota ever played, man. They were fucking awesome. But yeah, I just went down a trip down memory lane and started listening to all these bands I used to play with and shit. I'm like, damn, all of our recordings were trash. Like, what the fuck? Like, how did none of us like pick up on that? That was it our ears just didn't give a fuck? Like, what was that?
Well, I guess it was better than like what we used to do, which was a rock band mic in the middle of the room while we all played. So if anything better than that was an improvement.
Or like
absolutely.
That one of those little fucking recorders with the two microphone things that go like that on top. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little Tascam one.
Fuck
yeah. Holy shit, those are bad sounding.
Oh man, I wish I had my hands on some of those though, like some of those old recordings.
Yeah. Those things are fun just for like sampling stuff, like the Tascam things, just walking around and just being like, this stream sounds nice. Let's get that for a texture or something.
Totally.
Just whatever you're feeling.
There was a guy in town who would do that with some of the metal bands. There'd be like he had a studio right by the fire department. And when the fire siren would go off, he would sample that. He would sample Rain with one of those Tascam things. And on all these albums, I produced a band called Hella Metal from like 40 minutes down south. And they had before they were Hella Metal, it was a Manica, fucking name backwards. And they had a bunch of samples from like the Wairika community all over this album, just sprinkled in. And, it was interesting. It was the same thing though. Some older dude that didn't really know what he was doing with metal. He was like folk and like blues, I guess, rock. And he wanted to try, but he definitely got his props for being super creative with all of that. I thought that was cool.
Fuck yeah.
It should be said that Andrew lives in Northern California, so he's way fucking far away from where we are.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Do you know that artist? So you listen to the song Mental that I put out. Do you know that artist, Marquise Phoenix?
I never heard of him. No,
He lives out there, man. He's playing some show in a couple days with like fucking Aaron Gillespie and like some like other trap people. I'm not sure.
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he was playing with like Wi-Fi's funeral and stuff like last week. Yeah, he's from there. He's my boy, man.
Wow.
Yeah, he's from Baltimore.
That's dope.
Yeah, he's
sick as fuck. He's all the way out here. That's badass, man. Good for him.
Chasing a fucking dream, man.
Yep, totally.
I think we should also point out with Andrew that Andrew right now has the fit that The Rock had when he had that fanny pack on.
Yes.
Look at this fucking turtleneck gold chain shit he's got
gold
going.
chains. Thanks to the guy at the gas station. Love it.
All right. Let's see. What do you do to market your project?
Not a lot, honestly. I've been trying to work on that a lot lately because that's honestly like the worst part for me. I hate it. Like I don't like fucking being that guy. It's like, hey, check out my shit, because you know most of my people know me from my metal days. You know what I mean? So a lot of them aren't gonna fuck with this sound at all. So I'm just like, hey guys, I'm a rapper now, and I produce beats and I have a studio, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, retard, play the bass. And I'm like, okay, but no. So I've recently gotten hit to like all these little all the different little outlets, you know, like indie playlisters, indie, you know, shows like this, indie music reaction streams and shit like that. Like I've recently gotten hip to that whole thing, but honestly, not a lot. I don't really like doing it. And like I said, my end game is kind of just to keep having fun. So I'm not like trying to be too pressed about it, but also at the same time, be pressed about it. You know what I mean? So
totally get that. Yeah.
It's a toss up.
I mean, the best marketing is just word of mouth at the end of the day. Like,
yes.
At least for me, since like I'm not even in a band right now, my band broke up in 2020, my last band. So I've just been, you know, purely doing the production stuff, and I've done no marketing. It's quite literally just, you know, I work with a band, they tell their friends, and then eventually one of those guys calls me and luckily now I just have enough work to where, I'm sustaining myself off of it. But
you've been around though. You've been around though. People like know who you are, so it's not like
that's nice to hear. Mean? That feels good.
Yeah, you've been around for a little while, honestly.
Well, I don't know. Like it was like we were saying earlier, like until somebody tells you that, you really don't know because you're stuck in your bubble, in this bubble of like everything sucks and I'm terrible, right?
Yeah.
So, fair enough.
Yeah, man. Speaking of like just not like crossing paths with like Toby, like it's funny that you and I never crossed paths. Like we probably went to some of the same shows back in the day. I used to play with Cathedrals sometimes.
Yeah.
I never played with Deep Rest, but
no, I think that's how I'm pretty sure that's how I know you is Cathedrals, honestly. Because of Paul. Me and Paul got tight and started hanging out all the time and stuff like that. And you were working with Deep Rest, and like you said, you were playing with Cathedrals for a little bit. I think.
Well, I didn't like play in the band, but like we would play shows with them.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. Wait,
yeah.
What band were you in again?
We had a couple of names. I think the one that was the longest was Relapse Collapse.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah, I remember that one. Did you play that show? Yeah. Did you play that? You guys play that show with us at, it was like some bar on Route 40, but it was like In Dying Arms, Camisado, Nakota, Cathedrals. No, there was like
I wasn't there.
There was like two bands that I can't like recall the name of. To fucking
I'm almost positive that one was Swarm the North because they played everything back then.
Nah, it wasn't them. It wasn't them.
Love Charlie, by the way. Very nice guy. Or girl, yeah. And Nick and all those guys. We used to just hang out with them at shows because, like, I don't know. We just didn't. It's not that we didn't get along. Like, you remember how, like, and maybe this is just me from coming. Like, I used to play sports and shit. My dad was very much like a hardcore sports guy. So like when I started playing music, I was super, super competitive.
Right.
And
gosh.
Yeah. Like same with production. And I think some of that's necessary just to like get yourself off the ground as a producer, just cause like I don't know, like you got to kind of have that mentality of like, fuck you, I'm better than everybody, just to like even like be like, okay, this is something I can do. Cause it's so outlandish to think you're going to make any money doing this shit.
I feel like as an artist, you have to have a certain level of cockiness because you have to believe, honestly, like if you're going to show somebody this, you have to believe that it's some kind of good, that you're better than the average, at least. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But speaking of Swarm the North, I want to bring this up before I fucking forget it. Donnie, their old drummer, dude, that's my cousin.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, dude.
Baltimore is such a small scene, man.
Yeah.
The way you guys explain it makes it seem like it's just massive scene, because the scene where I'm at's like it's 50 people tops, 40, 50 people.
I feel like that's honestly what Baltimore is. It's maybe 100. Like, but in terms of like all the bands are just like the same dudes playing in 3 different bands.
I gotcha.
That's
okay.
all it was.
It used to be kind of jumping, you know what I mean? And now it's kind of like tapered off. And I'm also kind of out of it, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's something somewhere, but like, what the fuck? Oh man, I feel like an asshole. Constituents, you know that band?
No, I haven't heard of them. I'll give them a listen.
They're pretty good, and like they got their whole little scene going. But I don't know. I see stuff, but for the most part, I'm fucking out of it.
I was turned on to this band. I'm recording Earthworm Von Doom right now. They're doing another album with me, and I was turned on to Gradual Slip, which is a really, really cool hardcore band.
I've seen that fucking logo somewhere before.
Yeah.
Probably on a sticker fucking sidebar, honestly.
Yeah. No, they're good, man. I forget the bands they used to be in. Like they were in 2 bands before this, but that shit's good. I'm like low key, like telling Earthworm, like, hey, tell them to come to me.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun.
Work with these guys. Oh, sheesh, man.
Is there much of like a rap community out there too?
Yeah, but
that's a good question.
Yeah, but it's like a really interesting rap community. So it is Baltimore. So there is like the hood rappers who I have no place fucking with them. You know what I mean? Then you got your like your little artsy kids. Like a lot of them, live around, give off like a big Micah vibe. Those are kind of the cool kids like that I fuck with because I'm just like, your shit's different. It's not exactly this. And we're just kind of more on a similar wavelength. Like they listen to similar shit to me. And there was something else, but I can't really recall it at this time. But it's really clicky. It's really clicky.
I get you. The metal scene over here is like that too. There's like these like weird status groups of like bands, and they'll all be talking about like one another, kind of their own personal opinions and stuff like that. But
yeah, that's whack. I don't like stuff like that. You know what I mean? I just want to. We're all just here to we're all here just to make music and have fun, and we should all support each other. You know what I mean?
Yep, it's the same goals.
You join the hardcore scene, and like everybody always talks about like unity and brotherhood in hardcore, and then you get there, and it's like nobody talks to each other.
Yeah,
I felt like we felt like such an outsider because like we're from Harford County, or like that's where my band was from, so we like weren't close to the city at all, and like nobody fucked with us.
Yeah, dude.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't really. I don't know. I was unpleasantly surprised when I started like paying attention to what was going on in our local hardcore scene. Honestly, you know, there was a lot of weird shit happening around that time. I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's fucking.
Yep.
I'm not interested, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you know, it turns out that heavy fucked up music attracts fucked up people.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I've always said hardcore. Yeah. I've always said hardcore in Baltimore is like, it's made of like 50% just like kind of nerds like us who just like music, right? And then it's like 50% violent heroin addicts.
Yo, honestly,
that's the Baltimore scene.
But
that sounds accurate.
Since we're talking about local hardcore bands from Baltimore, though, yo, and I know we already brought them up, but Deep Rest is fucking good as shit, in my opinion.
Yes,
I really like their band.
Deep Rest.
No, they're fucking sick, Andrew. You should listen to them.
Yeah, I'm taking all these notes and just punching them in for later. Stuff to listen to.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a long time ago. They were the first band. They were the first band that I recorded when they were Cathedrals.
Oh, no kidding.
Even though that shit kind of snafu'd because they were just, I don't know, got weird. Paul like got kicked out and then he ended up joining later. And because of that, the whole process got fucking weird during then.
What's like a good song? I can't find them on here. Or maybe I should hit you up about that after the podcast.
It's like
just whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Deep Rest is sick. Like I'm happy they're still playing music because to me, not talking shit on Cathedrals, but I like Deep Rest more. Like it's definitely more the type of hardcore I would listen to.
See, I like Cathedrals because it was more to the proggy side. It was like a lot of jazzier stuff. Paul was playing a lot jazzier drums, and I like to play jazzy bass. I was like, dog, I would love to play with these guys. But I was in Dakota at the time, so I was happy where I was. But when Trey started doing vocals, I was like, yo, why haven't you been doing vocals the whole time? Like, what you've been hiding this voice from us, bud? Like,
yeah. And I remember they were always like switching instruments. Like Trey was on guitar, then he was on drums. Like it's just cool that like they eventually just figured it out and it's working for them. Like I know Deep Rest I don't think they do a whole lot of promotion, but like definitely everybody around here who is into that shit is like, oh, like they're what's up. They're like one of the bands that you should be paying attention to.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they're definitely I was gonna say they're definitely underrated if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure.
I'm not gonna give nothing away, but I heard some of the stuff that's gonna, it's kind of on its way or whatever, and it's fucking yeah. You probably did you record it? I don't know who recorded it.
No, actually I haven't worked with them since, all the way back then. I mean, I'd love to. I've offered again, but I think they just have been working with Toby. I feel like that's always been their guy.
I'm not sure. I think they've been kind of traveling or something. I think they like met somebody. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. They are kind of I like those guys a lot, but they are kind of like elusive. Like sometimes they just like disappear, like
gone.
And then you have no idea where the fuck they are.
Yeah.
But they're cool. Their music is dope. They're super, super nice. Yes.
Love all them dudes.
Everybody should check that band out. All right, let's keep this more about you though.
Oh, sorry. I mean, hey, dude, I know you're gonna edit. I know you're gonna do some editing and shit. So I'm just like, hey, fuck it, dog. Like, yo, hey, Deep Rest the shit.
It's not gonna be tons of editing. I'm just gonna edit out the shit where we were like you getting your AirPods. Like, other than this, I want it to just be a normal conversation. Honestly, like I don't feel like I just think that flows better. I don't want this to be so like snappy and structured. Like, fuck that shit. I just want it to be dudes talking. Honestly,
for sure.
So okay. Something that I think is worth bringing up because you'll probably have a good perspective on it since you do rap. what do you think about collaborations? And I already kind of know what you think, but what do you think about collaborations? How do you go about picking who you want to collaborate with? And what do you think the benefits are of doing that?
I love collaborating. You know what I mean? Like I love, like my first album was called Pack Mentality, and it was a pack mentality thing. I was like, I'm going to collab with everyone who I can get close to me that I think is good. Like I had a solo from Brandon Heim on there because Brandon Heim's crazy guitarist.
Sick. Yep.
Had Paul all over it because he's a sick rapper. Had, whoever I could get on it. I have on my album, there's a beat on there. It's like the only smooth one. I fucking forget what it's called, but it's the only smooth beat on my whole album or my whole EP. And Paul produced it, and Colby played the bass for it, even though I'm a bass player. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I like this, that you're playing bass and you're doing this, and I'm the only vocalist on it. It's cool. But yeah, I just like if I think you're good, like I'm down to work with you. You know what I mean? Like obviously there are benefits of like working with people who have like status or whatever, but like it's not really a motivator to me. Like I got involved with this collective not too long ago, and the like leader or founder, whatever you want to call her, sent me like this fucking rap sheet of like all these people she's worked with and publications she's been on. And I'm like, dog, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Like, I really don't care. Like, she came over and recorded some stuff here, and it had like Wu-Tang Clan features on it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I don't care. Like, that's like, I don't know. Like, I was stoked about it, but I was like, dude, like, I don't know. She was like waving it in front of my face. Didn't like it. But like that stuff doesn't matter to me. I ended up breaking away from that collective because it was just really weird. But yeah, I just like working with people who I think are good or have a similar mentality to me. Like there's a guy I like working with. He goes by Bitrus. He's from Syracuse. I hope I said that right. But we just talk a lot, or we used to talk a lot, and he just has a very similar way of thinking about the world to me. And he's got a lot of similar influences. Like I asked him if he was, I was like, dude, did you used to listen to MSI or something? Because you really remind me of like old MSI, bro. And I kind of like really fuck with it. He's like, hell yeah, that's one of my biggest influences. And then recently I had somebody jump on a track. He goes by Sadzilla. And I asked him the same question. And he was like, yo, I fucking love MSI. And I'm like, how do I attract these people? Like, but no, yeah. But yeah, I just like working with people who are like good people. I like working with people who make good shit, man, and have like a vision and don't sound like everybody else, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like you have to walk that line of like, you can't be so experimental that, okay, here, let me just say like what my theory is for like the music that people actually give a shit about nowadays. There's two things. And one is music that is so crazy experimental that people have to pay attention. Like it's just so fucking out there. You get bands like, even though I really don't listen to like psychedelic rock, like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, right? Like just all fucking over the place. Or
Yeah.
my buddy does something called Sage Hardware, which is crazy electronic music where it goes from like vaporwave to like screaming fucking crazy shit.
Dude, I love
it's
shit
really,
like
really
that.
cool.
I love shit like that.
Yeah.
I feel
I'll
like
send you that shit. It's amazing.
I feel like you get to a point where you start to be desensitized to the norm, and you need shit like that to like wake you back up. Like,
Yeah.
but
I almost think that's
absolutely.
like music for musicians though. You know what I mean?
facts.
Because then I think there's the other camp where it's like the other way you can make your music get noticed is you don't do anything crazy outside of the box, but you pick an aesthetic and you fucking nail it. You make
Mhm.
sure like your production sounds exactly the way that it should. The songs sound exactly the way that they should. Like the voicings on the guitar, you're not doing anything crazy. Like I think of bands like, if you've listened to Molchat Doma, which is like a Russian post-punk band,
Can't
and
say I have.
it sounds like, well, they had like one song that was like a meme on TikTok or something. So like a shitload of people know about them now. And but yeah, it very much just sounds like, they recorded on shitty like analog recorders in the 80s in the Soviet era. They're using crappy gear, but like they've nailed the aesthetic, and people love that because it sounds like vintage or whatever. So I think those are the two ways you can really go about with it. And this is no disrespect to you. You tend to fall for me more in the line of like that, where you're picking the aesthetic that you want, and you are just kind of nailing it. there is room for experimentation, but like you found like that sound, and you're not doing anything that's so far out of that sound that it would turn off fans of
Right.
that particular sound.
I guess I could see that, but at the same time, dude, like I feel myself that I'm very fucking eclectic. Like I feel like my shit, like I have a song that I'm not even sure if I'm gonna put it out, but it's like very post-hardcore-ish, and it's just me doing vocals and Kobe did the instrumentals. And I'm like, dude, this shit fucking sounds good as fuck. And then I have another one, I think I sent it to you, the one that was called Just Me, where it's got like some weird EDM vibes at the end, and it's like, but it's really 8-bitty, but I'm like rapping fast, and it's got screams on it. Like I don't know. I feel like I get what you're saying. Like it all has like that connecting. It has like the places where it matches up, but I feel like I don't know.
Yes.
That's weird. That's weird. I've never even thought about that.
Well, you're finding the places that you can experiment without. You're finding like the in-between places that you can experiment basically without destroying the connective tissue of the genre that you're playing in.
Without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, to me, I'm like, yo, I'm doing hella weird, different shit. And I'm like thinking about it now that you said it. I'm like, yeah, I guess I do have some similarities in a lot of my songs. Fuck.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, but
yeah, man,
it's a good thing, I guess, but I didn't mean to. Like,
well, it's music for music listeners rather than like we were talking about the crazy experimental shit that is more just music for musicians.
right?
Yeah.
Like, because musicians care about, oh, dude, he ripped this crazy fucking solo. Like, I mean, I don't care about guitar solos or whatever, or they care about like, bro, that dissonant part is fucking insane sounding.
Right.
And then
right.
you show that to like, you know, a 25-year-old dude who just like plays the cross. He's like, that sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Not
Like,
about
they don't
it.
want to hear that. Yeah.
I hear that. So like when Chon was like getting real popular and whatever, and they had all that demo stuff, and I forget what their fucking first actual album was called, but what was it called? I have to know now because they were like my fucking favorite band for the longest time.
So talented.
Newborn Son, right?
Mm.
That and all their demo stuff, I was like, this shit is fucking insane. And I'd play it all the time. And I was seeing this girl and she'd be like, can you turn that shit off? Like, it is so much. And I'm like, you don't fucking know what music is.
Oh, John's amazing. John's so good, man. I like John a lot more than like I listen to a lot of like that. I listen to a lot of like early 2000s and like late 90s Japanese math rock, and I listen to a lot of the newer math rock, and it's just like it's so much more like show offy, and I kind of don't like it. But Chan works, but like Tim Henson, I feel like it's just kind of too much, honestly.
I just had this conversation with Kobe. I was like, yo, so when Polyphia, same thing. When they first started popping up, I was like, yo, this shit is really cool. And now, like, I hear a band that sounds like that, I'm just like, flip that, because my brain isn't even ready to process all that. Like,
yeah.
The thing I miss about this,
right.
The thing like those Japanese bands were doing, it's like, sure, they'd have like cool chord voicings and occasionally some tappy stuff, but then they also like made sure to write songs.
Right.
They would
right.
have like a catchy chorus or something, right?
Yeah, they're just like, I feel like Polyphia does this thing all the time where they're just like, I'm gonna demonstrate every ability that I have on this guitar in every fucking song. Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, dog, chill.
Yeah, like their newest one, there wasn't even like at least like Goat has like a super catchy, like iconic melody to it. But like their newest one, like as I was listening, I was like, man, there's like nothing that I remember from that after I just listened to it. Nothing stuck with me.
Right.
Totally. I mean, it was impressive, certainly extremely impressive music, but I guess Animals as Leaders is nailing it though. Their new shit is heavy. It's disgusting.
I gotta listen to that still. You said that something on there is just a bop.
Boy.
Animals as Leaders has kind of been killing that whole fucking vibe forever though.
Yeah, they're great. They're phenomenal.
Ever since they popped up and it was just Tosin, they've been fucking awesome.
I like that Tosin, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was basically just like, yeah, I'm bored of sweep picking, so we're not doing that anymore.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, cool, yeah. And then they just got like way heavier and groovier. Like,
I love
shit.
There's like a guitar workshop where he's playing and somebody's like, yeah, like it's very impressive, but is there like any rhythm or melody? And just look on Tosin's face. He's just like, motherfucker, like, yeah, like.
Yeah, you're not the person to be asking that.
Like you should go to the AC/DC meeting over there. I think like
yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, so the last thing I guess we wanted to touch on, or one of the last things I would say, because we got like 8 minutes left, is like, have you done any live performances? Or are you planning on doing live performances in the future?
I have. So kind of when I started getting like really kicking at this shit and I started getting a full set that I was comfortable performing, COVID struck. So yeah. So I've done one, you know what I mean? I did one. And I've been in the works trying to book some other shit. And like I said, I plan on doing some shit here. But no, I'm not very versed in the live performances, but I do have a pretty sweet PA in my room. You know, I'll be in there like blasting my own songs, just practicing, making sure that like if somebody was like, "Hey, dude, we need you to come play the show right now," I'd be like, "All right, bet, I'm on my way." Like,
awesome.
Well, I think that's good. It's like, it's the same thing as being like in a band. Like you just want to like drill it over and over and over. So at the show, you can actually have fun and not worry about like fucking up or something.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that you're going to do like house shows and shit, because honestly, like there was way more of that in the scene like 10 plus years ago. And that's why I feel like the scene was way more lively. So we need people like that, or people like you, to just like bring that shit back, honestly.
Yeah, I'm trying to, dude. I'm working on it. It's a lot.
Yeah. I imagine it's a lot to deal with when you have a kid and a wife.
And you gotta start thinking about things like, am I gonna get a porta potty? Where the fuck are all these motherfuckers gonna park? Like all the little shit. Like
yeah, like we're thinking about maybe having like house shows here, but like I don't know, man. Like we would have to move, like we'd have to like rearrange our fucking living room or something in order to do that. We're like, we want to do that every single time.
Fuck yeah, you do. Fuck yeah, you do.
Oh man. Hey, the house shows are legendary. That stuff's so fun, dude. We used to do that in Oregon all the time. It's like 50 people cramped into this dinky
I guess the other
room.
thing is, it's like Gene and I just have like so much expensive gear. Like he has a bunch of like expensive synthesizers, and I have like all the shit in here. And it's like, okay, do we want to risk like somebody walking upstairs and just walking out with some of that stuff?
Or
I certainly
stuff.
can't afford.
Fucking dumping a beer on it on accident or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dude, we fucking party down here in my room, and people set beers all over my fucking workstation and shit. I'm like, dog, like no.
That's terrifying.
And I'm not the type of person to be like, no beers on amps. I'm like, fuck it, set it there. What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Yeah.
But something about
on your doll,
my workstation, I'm like, dog, like nah.
No
sorry.
way.
You spill that shit on my computer.
Yeah, you spill it on the computer, dude. I'd be so pissed.
Yeah. Because a good computer is like, if you don't even have a good computer to work on, this shit is such a headache. Like I worked on a laptop for like 10 years. That was horrible.
Same.
Because of the point where like newer plugins were just taking up more and more CPU. So I'd have to like just commit to moves and like render the track like as soon as I was done with it, just so my computer wouldn't freeze up.
Yeah, I've had to pain in the ass.
Yeah, I used to have to do shit like that. You're giving me war flashbacks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've got like 4.5 minutes, so I think we're gonna end this with just what do you want to promote? What shit do you got going on? You want people to pay attention to?
What do I have? So I got a song coming out soon. It's called Clout Strife. It's got a feature on it, a dude named a Prodigy, I think is how you pronounce it. I've never met him in person, so he's never been able to clear that up for me. We worked together. We've worked together a couple times. He's also from Baltimore. He's fucking super sick. He's like an emo trap artist. Then I got this other dude that I'm working with. His name is like 4J Youngie. It used to be Nokami, and he's this kid from North Carolina who has so much fucking talent, dude. It fucking blows my mind. He sends me these songs, man. I'm like, dude, can you send me those stems? Like, I'll do it for free, bud. Like, just let me do this for you. You're so good. But so that song's coming out the 28. See, this is why I tried to ask you like what I should be prepared to talk about, because then these moments come up. I don't know.
The rest of it's flowed. Like I didn't want to tell you the questions we were gonna ask because then I feel like you're gonna have like bullet point answers rather than just like shooting the shit, which is kind of the vibe we're going for.
That's fair.
But okay, yes, for the next guest, yeah, we'll be like, okay, what are you promoting? Have that ready.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's coming out this month at some point. I've got singles lined up like crazy. I've got songs coming out with, Moxis. He's a big name. I got a song coming out with him. Sadzilla is relatively big. That's going to come out. I got fucking some songs that are really different. They're really different that I've never heard anything like before. And I'm just like thinking that it's going to be really cool. So just keep an eye out for that stuff, man. Like expect weirdness from me, but listenable weirdness. Like
I dig it.
Well,
That sounds
yeah,
awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. And definitely shoot me any links that you want me to post when this does go up. It'll go up next Thursday at 2 p.m. And thank you so much for doing this, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yes.
No worries, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Thanks.
Pleasure to meet you.
Seamus. I was about to say, nice to meet you, Andrew, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Well, this is really the
Cool.
first time we've met also. So
Yeah,
it's
you
nice
know,
to
true.
finally,
we've spoke.
we've
via-
chatted.
Via text,
Yeah.
via text and shit.
Yeah. So, all right, man. You have a good night.
All right, man. You too.
Catch you later.
See you, man.